Hello fine folk, Paddy with you here again. Thanks for tuning back in. Now today we're just going to be doing a quick little video of tuning the hobbywing 880 ESC. So this is the hobbywing 880, the dual ESC, although I do believe that this program card is also used for the 1080 and 1060, a few others. So you've got your RC, you've got your program card out the box, you've installed your ESC, you've tried it and you think, well, I want to change some settings. There's a few things that I might want to change. For instance, it doesn't really set off as fast as I'd like. There's not as much launch speed as I'd like. There's too much punch at launch, or there is too much timing, or the motor may well need timing. Never fear, because all of these things and more can be sorted with your little program card. It's like a little box of tricks. Now, what you'll want to do first is go and get the supplied JST 3-pin standard servo lead here and plug it in to the little port on your ESC. So when plugging in, you'll want to face your 3 little metal contacts towards you. If the ESC is facing this way, obviously if the ESC is facing the other way, you'll want them away from you. So just something to note, but don't worry, if you do accidentally plug it in reverse polarity, let's just do that. Let's plug it in the wrong way. Oh no, you plugged it in the wrong way. Is it going to blow? No, it won't. You'll just get a flash, which is fantastic. So there's reverse polarity protection there on the actual main signal and power output. So once you've got your box all plugged in correctly, your little program card as it's sometimes called, you will have 2 fields here, and one of the fields is the item and other is the value field. So even though we have our numbers displayed here, these figures underneath actually relate to a slightly different ESC programming, and the ESC will tell this program card which ESC is plugged in, and you may well find yourself putting in the wrong parameters if you are assuming that this guide here is for this 880 or 1080 ESC. It is not. It's for an easy run setup. You'll find yours listed here in the manual, and we're going to run through them now. So number 1 on your item field, let's have a look. We've got running modes. We've got forwards brake, forwards reverse brake, and forwards and reverse. Now we want forwards reverse and brake because we are using it as a trail truck and not racing. So what we can do now is press our item button, because we are notice we're already set on number 2 option being forward reverse brake. So we can carry on and cycle to the next one. Number 2, we are set on number 2, so we are actually set on battery type. You see, number 2, battery type, LiPo or NIM. We're not running a nickel metal hydride battery, or running a lithium polymer. So we're going to click our value button here. We're going to click our value button here to cycle our value field to 1. So we have now got LiPo enabled. Option, so item 2, value 1. Next one, item button to cycle. Number 3, let's have a look. Cutoff voltage, disabled, auto low, auto medium, auto high. Now cutoff voltage may sometimes be referred to LVC, or low voltage cutoff. And put simply, low voltage cutoff is when your cells in your battery, obviously let's say a 2S fully charged, each cell is 4.2, yeah, so that'll give you 8.4, so 4.2 together, 4.2 per cell should I say. And this here will mean that it will cut off at a certain voltage. I would leave yours on auto medium. So we're going to cycle ours through here to number 3. Auto medium will mean that it will give you a good mix of longevity with runtime, but it would also give you a good protection for your battery so it doesn't dip below 3-ish volts per cell. So we're going to cycle along now. Item again. Number 4. Initial start force 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 and 16. Initial start force. So sometimes referred to as like punch. You'll find that initial start force is how fast your vehicle starts off. So how much current will the ESC supply to the motor. The motor will be demanding a set of current on launch. So if you jam your throttle down, for instance, it will always demand that current. But if you put your initial start force as say 4% or low, say 2%, it will give you a more progressive start. Even if you gun the throttle, it will go whoop. Whereas if you have a higher initial punch, initial start force, let's say 14%, when you gun it, it'll go boop straight away and move quickly. So it will supply the motors with all of the current that they are asking for, all in one go. Everything you can handle, you can have that. So there you go. So we are going to set ours. We can see we're set on option value 2. We're on field 4, which is initial start force. So we are going to, where are we now? We're on option 2, which is 2%. We're going to set ours on, where are we? 4%, which is option 3. So we can click on now, item field number 5. Max forward force. So much as this is self-explanatory, what's the maximum speed that this will do? Basically, in layman's terms, what number 5 is asking you is, what do you want the top speed of this RC to be? Now we are going to go 100%, and that'll give us our top value. You'll notice 100% on here is option 4. So we will go option 4. Let's move on. Item field number 6. Item field number 6, max reverse force. Now if you set your max reverse force too low, you'll find that it's very slow in reverse and it's quite weak on the torque. I don't know if it linearly reduces torque, but it does seem that way. So max reverse force for me is going to be set at option number 3, 75%. It's already on that, so we can just click on. Item field number 7, max brake force. Now we don't want our max brake force at 100% really. You'll notice if you're traveling at speed and you stop and wham the brakes on and your rig goes up and endos and flops up in the air, that may very well be because your maximum brake force is set a little too high and can often be a cause of broken and damaged components. So what we will do, we will set our item field number 7 value to, where shall we go? I'm going to go about 75, 87.5%. Something that's powerful, but also leaves a little headroom. So if we go option number 8, I think that's achieved that, 87.5. Let's carry on. Item field for number 8. Where are we now? Initial brake force. Now, much like our punch setting, our initial start force, our initial brake force is very similar. So how much brakes will it apply? How much electronic braking will it apply when you flip that trigger up? Initially, not the overall brake strength, we're talking the initial. So from the first flick, will it stop you dead, or will it progressively go into that hard brake, or whatever your brake strength is set at? So here we can see item field number 8, initial brake force. We are going to set our initial brake force at, I'm going to say 37.5, option number 7, and that'll give us a little headroom again, so it won't wham the brakes on when we're running these very large diameter, large mass tyres. That can be a cause of broken drive shafts. So we can move on now. Number 9. So item field number 9 is drag brake. Now drag brake is something that's often used in the comp scene. So drag brake is something like this, if I just explain it in layman's terms. So if you're going, you're at the top of a hill, you're about to descend the hill, so you're about to go down the hill, and you're at the peak of the hill, and your car starts rolling, and you're not pressing anything, no accelerator, no brake, and it just starts rolling and rolling and gathering momentum, much like a real car would with no brakes. So drag brake is exactly that. When it's at the top of the hill and it's about to start coming down the hill, and it starts, the ESC will recognize, you're not actually pressing any throttle inputs or reverse inputs, but we are moving, so we're going downhill. I need to apply a drag brake, and that's quite self-explanatory there. When you are dragging yourself, it's dragging you, it's stopping you. So at 5%, it would stop you 5% of your momentum, 5% of your momentum would be reduced. At 100% drag brake, no matter how steep the angle is that your truck's coming down, it would never move. And equally, when you're ascending and you're going up, sometimes you may find that you roll back down when you let off the throttle. Now that's because you've not set a drag brake. Set a drag brake at say 100%, and when you go up and you stop on the hill and you let off your throttle trigger altogether, it won't roll back down, it will just stay where it is. And that's drag brake explained in layman's terms. So item field number 9, our drag brake, we are going to set our drag brake at around, I'm going to say 5%. Now you'll say, why so low? Now that's because I'm not comp trucking. I've got a trail truck here, and don't forget, all the time when you're going and you're rolling, that drag brake will be applied. So if you're on open ground, for example, and you're rolling along on open ground, every time you let off the throttle, it will start to slow you down. So if you're trail trucking, don't have your drag brake set high or on at all. If you're trail trucking, probably turn it off. So we are going to go number 2 because we will be doing a little bit of crawling with it. So we're going to change our item value field now. Move on to number 10. Drag brake rate. Now drag brake rate is much the same as what we were saying with our drag brake strength and initial brake force. Drag brake rate is how heavy is it going to come on. So is it going to stay on? So drag brake rate. So we're going to keep ours. Option number 4, you'll see these are sort of generic settings. We're already on option number 4, so that's fantastic. We're going to leave it at that. Number 11, neutral range. Now we're going to keep our neutral range at 0.05. Now that gives us a little bit of headroom either way as well. I don't want my neutral range too high and I don't want it too low. So neutral range explained. It basically, if you imagine the movement that you can get before it starts to accelerate on your trigger, what's your neutral range. If you increase your neutral range, it will spend a longer time in neutral deadband before acceleration algorithm or brake algorithm is applied. So neutral range, we're just going to leave ours on 0.05, which is factory stock setting. Thank you. So we can just carry on. Item field number 12, start mode punch. And this is what we were saying before, start mode punch. How fast are we setting off? So when we squeeze our trigger, does it go boom and gun it all? Or does it go whoop and set off with a progressive more? If you were to pin it on a graph, 100% will be like that. And 20% will be much more progressive in a progressive curve. They may well still reach the same point, but how they get to that level would be determined by your punch force. How much punch is it giving you at the start? So basically that relates directly to how much current the ESC is allowing the motors to draw. So here we are, number 12, as we can see, number 12, start mode punch. What do we set on? We'll set on number 5, and this is stock. We're going to set our start mode punch. If you set your start mode punch really low, you'll have a nice progressive start, and it may well help you with slow speed stability. So what we are going to do is we're going to set ours on, where are we going? Start mode punch. We're going to set ours on number 4. Don't forget, we're on a trail truck again, so I'm not going to be wheeling and razzing it around, but I do want a little bit of oomph. I don't want it underpowered when I initially press the trigger, so I'm just going to leave it at 4. And we're going to move on to item value field number 13. Now number 13, PWM frequency. For layman's terms, you can just leave that stock. I'm not going to go and start explaining pulse width modulation frequencies to you. If you're reading this and you're watching this video, the chances are that that information is probably going to be quite lost on you anyway. So you don't really have to worry about that, especially if you're running brushed. Just keep it stock and you'll be dandy. Beck voltage on these is set as standard, so we can move on. Number 14, Beck voltage. We've only got one option. We're not running a separate Beck, so we can just move on to 15. Freewheeling disabled. We want our freewheeling enabled because we're using a trail truck. If you are using a crawler or a comp crawler, for instance, an MOA build uses an 880 SC quite often, you would want freewheeling disabled, so stick with option 2. Now basically, as A basher has freewheeling as standard because it's an open diff. So freewheeling, explained in layman's terms, if your truck's travelling along and you let off the truck, you're travelling along and you let off the accelerator and it goes and carries on. Now, if you had freewheeling disabled, as soon as you let off that accelerator, it goes up, it would stop. Almost like a drag brake is applied. So that is basically freewheeling. It's pretty self-explanatory. Can it freewheel without any input? A bit like a basher can, an RC basher. So, I'm a bit out of breath there. We're all good. We can press OK. And you'll notice there's a little... Right, so that's saved. So we can go back around, just check all our options are still there. Yes, they are. Fantastic, 15 options in total. Now we can go ahead and unplug and turn our ESC on as normal, and now our settings will automatically be saved to here. The great thing about these little boxes are they are powered directly off the 5-volt output from the ESC itself on that 3-pin lead there. So if you just pop this in your bag when you're out on your trails, you might find, you know, the settings that Paddy told me were a bit crap for me, and actually they don't suit what I'm doing. Well, obviously that's going to happen in numerous cases, because you might be running a different truck to me, you might be running a different motor to me, a different gearbox setup to me, a different size, a different scale of RC for a different purpose, different axles, different gearing. So basically, this is an invaluable little tool for anybody who's wanting to tune the ESC and get pretty good settings to a really good standard. I mean, the stock settings are actually pretty good, and they enable you to just plug and play and get it out of the box. They're pretty foolproof. But if you want extra tunability, they come with the program box if you pay a little bit more, and we're talking a couple of quid more. They really are worth it. And as an extra bonus, if you go and look in your manual, underneath where I've written this out, is a full explanation of pretty much everything I've just been through in this video. I'm sure you've probably read it. You may be feeling a little bit confused. I hope that I've helped explain it a little bit. For those experienced hobbyists out there, you're probably already well versed with what I'm talking about anyway. But for today, I hope that little tutorial has shown you a little bit about how to tune your Hobbywing ESC for your RC crawler. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Over and out from Paddy.